A new era of amazing is about to begin for Spider-Man, spearheaded by none other than Zeb Wells and John Romita Jr. What'll happen next? Well, let's hop into the pages of Amazing Spider-Man issue number 1 and find out together, shall we? So then, as we join the book, you'll be met with a familiar scene if you've been keeping up with the promotion for this story. It's Peter Parker in a blasted Spider-Man costume sitting in some sort of crater. Well, I'm sorry, that's just what happens when you leave a Pop-Tart in the toaster oven for too long. What do you want me to say? Now, what happened to Spider-Man? How did we get here? Well, they don't tell us. In fact, we jump ahead a whole 6 months after this event. And it would seem that a lot has actually changed in that time. Peter is colder and more distant, blowing off his friends, and even Aunt May has been forced to sell her home and move into a smaller apartment, seemingly to try and help Peter deal with medical bills. Again, was that medical bills from that explosion we saw, or was it leftover medical bills from the Beyond era? I'm not sure. Aunt May also tries to get Peter to open up about a secret he's been hiding, and for a second there you think, wait, is Peter gonna actually tell Aunt May he's Spider-Man? But they end up stopping the conversation before it can go too far. Peter returns home for the day, and we see that he's actually being hounded by a bill collector, a very tenacious one too, who waits outside for him every day. Ah yes, Spider-Man has matched wits with the Rhino, Doctor Octopus, and the Shocker, but he's no match for his greatest foe yet, the collection agent. Peter also gets cornered too on his way home by Rand Robertson, his friend, and a guy that he used to live with, but not anymore. It seems that after their apartment got attacked by Madame Mass, Peter just kinda left Randy holding the bag. A dick move to be sure, but let us also not forget that Fred Meyer's Boomerang was their third roommate, and he literally died. So I don't think they were making that month's rent one way or another. Rand is also taking care of Gog, Peter's alien pet. In case you were wondering, and I'm sure many of you were definitely wondering, Rand is here today, though, to try and ask for Peter's help. You'll remember that Randy was dating Janice, aka Spider-Man foe the Beetle and daughter of more famous Spider-Man foe Tombstone. Well, Rand wants to propose to Janice now, but he's old school and wants to ask her father's permission first, and now Rand thinks that he should probably have someone watching his back in case Tombstone decides to murder him. Speaking of Lonnie Lincoln, we see that Tombstone actually has many of his own problems right now. At a big meeting of all the major New York gang lords, they say that it is time for the Rose, aka the son of Wilson Fisk, to ascend to his father's old position of power. Despite having no territory himself, a Fisk ruling in New York City is tradition, and tradition makes everyone feel better. Well, except for Tombstone, that is, who thinks this whole thing is bullshit. The Rose may not have any territory, but what he does have is metahuman muscle. Everyone, let me reintroduce you to forgotten 2003 Spider-Man foe Digger. He's technically a zombie. 13 Las Vegas mobsters fused together through the power of gamma radiation, and thanks to the power of the Green Door, he's back and kicking, making trouble for everyone. Tombstone ultimately agrees to a sit-down with the Rose and his people at the very same restaurant he's having a meeting with Randy, because, you don't become a big New York crime boss without multitasking. Now back over with Peter, he may be dodging his friends and family, but he can't dodge the Human Torch, Johnny Storm, who flies up to see him. These two have bad blood dating all the way back to a Fantastic Four story that I cannot remember reading, and Peter himself continues to be cryptic about what exactly happened to him half a year ago to make him start acting the way he is. It seems that the one person from Peter's past that he actively wants to talk to, Mary Jane, is the one person he cannot push himself to call. Still, though, despite everything that's happened with him, Peter is still ultimately a good guy at heart and decides to get himself in order just long enough to go back up Randy, even if he does do so from the shadows. Surprisingly, Randy's dinner with Tombstone goes better than he could ever expect. Lincoln says that his daughter would pretty much do whatever she wanted one way or another, and that there was a time in his life when he probably would have broken Randy's back just for the hell of it, but Tombstone's getting older, he's getting wiser, he says that he's comfortable and feels like he may actually finally have enough in his life. That sweet moment can't last forever, though, as Spider-Man decides to follow Tombstone's right-hand woman, White Rabbit. Yeah, it seems that on Janice's offer, White Rabbit has started working for Tombstone, and the two actually have a great business relationship. Though it seems that just maybe White Rabbit is going behind her boss, though, to make a deal with the Rose, selling off a bunch of old Green Goblin tech. Spider-Man crashes the meet only to come face to face with Digger, who remembers Spider-Man very well, saying that he killed them during their first meeting, only for Peter to fire back saying, "Nah, I didn't kill you, I just let you melt yourself down." Ultimately, Digger proves to not be the real problem here. It's when White Rabbit's driver, Kareem, ends up getting trapped inside their burning vehicle, meaning Peter has to go back and save them too before webbing them all up for the cops. Cops that White Rabbit is very quick to remind the web slinger aren't on his side anymore following the events of Devil's Reign when Peter stuck up for Daredevil. These actions end up having major ripple effects too, as back at Tombstone's HQ he's turning in for the night only to get exploded in his inner sanctum. Lincoln survives the blast and even manages to save his cat. Yeah, I know, I didn't think Tombstone was a cat person either, but here we are. It seems that a brand new gang war is inevitable, and in a rather interesting character turn, Tombstone decides to warn Peter Parker. The idea being that everyone knows Peter works with Spider-Man, and if anyone could warn the hero about what's going on and that he needs to stay uber vigilant, it would be him. Peter actually seems to have some fun poking at Tombstone, knowing that he needs him to deliver a message. Hell, even Lincoln himself has to admit, "Peter Parker, you're a weird guy." Now, what exactly is Peter doing with himself these days? Not much. He doesn't have a job anymore. He's just kind of drifting around the city, eventually going to the home of Mary Jane and just staring. It seems that half a year later from that big explosion, Mary Jane doesn't want to talk to Peter or see him at all, and maybe the reason could be is that she's moved on with her life. She's got a new guy and, well, seemingly kids that call her mom, too. And believe it or not, it's on that note right there the comic comes to a close. And so that was Amazing Spider-Man issue number 1, everybody. And overall, I thought it was a mixed bag. There was a lot to like, and there was some other stuff I'm not exactly sure about yet. Zeb Wells certainly gets Spider-Man's character, internal monologue, and most importantly, sense of humor, something I feel a lot of writers have kind of dropped the ball on the last little bit. I know a lot of other critics and commentators who I respect say that Peter really did come off like an asshole in this issue, and it's true. He's keeping a dark secret close to his chest and pushing everyone away instead of dealing with it. The mystery of what that is and why that is no doubt the driving force of this new Zeb Wells series, and the thing they hope will keep you coming back to find out what exactly it could be. Tombstone also gets one hell of a promotion in this story. I always felt Lonnie Lincoln was capable of more as a character with a lot of interesting story hooks, and it seems like Zeb Wells agrees with me too. I'll admit I was kind of confused about the whole "we need to replace the Kingpin" thing. I mean, are they talking about Wilson Fisk leaving after the events of Devil's Reign? Wasn't Butch Fisk his son promoted, or are we going to learn that that ended up not going through over in the main Daredevil book? Romita drawing Spider-Man certainly feels like a nice warm glove and something that is going to excite a lot of old-time fans, especially those who really care about their Spider-Man art. But of course, I can't finish this video without talking about the real elephant in the room, and that is seemingly Mary Jane has kids. This piece of information actually leaked out to the internet a couple days before this issue came out, so a lot of people were already acting like the sky is falling. Truth be told, I think it's too early to call at this point. Obviously, they wanted it to be shocking, they wanted to get a response out of you, and it seems to have worked with most readers. Again, this seems to be another mystery that's going to drive this book going forward. Overall, though, I think I feel comfortable giving this one a 7.5 out of 10. Pretty good, could have been a little better, but I'm definitely invested enough to see where it goes from here. Hey there everyone, Cape Joel again, and I want to thank you so much for watching to the end of the video. As always, if you liked what you see, be sure to like, subscribe, comment. It really helps drive engagement and helps me out too. Also, if you are a patron, which you can become for as little as $1 a month, you will get exclusive content that no one else can ever see, and you'll get to see the Comic Multiverse podcast before anyone else too. You can check out all this and more down in the description. And until next time everyone, this has been Cape Joel, and I'll see you all next time. Cheers.